So let's take a look at collecting items in the Storyteller's iOS Starter Kit 2 from cartoonsmart.com. All right, here we go. We've got my little boat here, and I'm going to run that into the compass, and you'll notice it goes into the inventory slot over here. And the cool thing about that is it will actually stay there. So even if I close down the app, right, it's already been collected. And I'll kind of do a slight little proof of that. I'm going to reopen this page again. You'll notice that that icon is back over there, and the thing that I collected is no longer there to be collected again. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could, and there's a button over here for this, I can clear out finding that, so I could like re-demo this for you guys if you wanted, and that might be a useful button if you were, for a kid's book, they might want to be able to collect the same thing over and over again. You probably want them to be able to, but it all depends on your book. So let's take a look at how this works. We've got our compass, and this is just a color sprite. All I had to do was put in here compass, give it a name, compass, whatever, and what I'll do is I'll show you with this guy. So it's got a name of compass, and then it has a custom class of element. You got to put that in there. And then for our icon, our representation of it in the inventory slot, it's called compass icon. So again, texture's compass icon. I gave it the same name, and it's element. So what's going to happen is this is going to move up to our inventory slot. Now this could actually be an empty node, so for example I could have just dragged this out and put in here inventory slot 0. You always start these at 0 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you want to put up there. But I decided just so we could just kind of keep an eye on the slots moving around, that what I was going to do is just use a color sprite, and I just made that black and opaque. So that's all it took to make that happen. And since this is just a node that we are kind of attaching or just moving something to, I didn't actually have to give it a custom class of elements. So you can see I left that off of there. So those are the three components that make this happen. And what I'm going to do is show you how this all works in the property list. All right, so first off, we have an event listener in here. And this is listener 1. It is going to listen for an intersection, and that intersection is going to be the compass with our vehicle. And if you didn't tune in for the last video, that's our vehicle right there. So it's a very simple intersection between the two of them. You can actually define in your settings how sensitive that the kind of intersection of those is. So whether or not it's basically like the full frame of the vehicle or just a portion of it or a smaller portion of it. And to do that, which I actually did not do on here, oddly enough, I'm going to put in here intersection sensitivity, and your range for this is going to be 0, 1, 2, or 3. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at 0 because I think it's working out just fine as it is. But if you want to kind of make it smaller, make it kind of harder to intersect with things, put it up at 3. Okay, so let's go back over here to our property list and get that out of the way. All right, so compass just has to intersect with the vehicle, and then what happens is we're going to set values, and it's going to be now remember, these are kind of arbitrary values that you come up with. So I just decided, I'll just keep this simple. I'm going to call the value compass, and I'm going to make it equal to found. Okay. Again, doesn't have to be true or false. Doesn't have to be whatever. Put in here any string value that you want. Do though put in a string value for. Just keep it as a string. Don't put it as a number or anything like that. Go strings for any of your values, and that's it actually. Okay. But look. There is another listener in here for listener for compass found. Now, again, these are just names that I'm coming up with. And listen for compass equaling found. Okay. So when this equals found, then all we're going to do is these events right here. So we are going to remove the compass. All right. Now that's the one that we actually collided with. We're going to show the compass icon, and then we're going to attach node to inventory slot, and we're just then attaching that compass icon to that, or basically the next available inventory slot. So if the first one had already been taken up, okay, inventory slot 0, then it would move to the second one and third one and so on. So you don't actually have to specify which slot it's going to go to. Just be sure you have enough of these in here to accommodate however many of these things that you might be picking up. And that is it. Now keep in mind, I could have also gone with animate node to inventory slot or move node to inventory slot, but I have the camera moving around. So for example, the camera is actually following this little boat right here. And in that case, what you're going to want to do is actually tie together the icon to that inventory slot. And then furthermore, there's inside of here, stick node to node, stuff to camera. What we're doing is we're sticking these particular nodes to either the camera for the iPad or the camera for the phone. Okay, so you can actually put in here 2-node or 2-node phone. So all of these items right here are going to get stuck to the camera essentially, and using the current offset. What that means is that however these objects are, so for example our inventory slots, wherever they are in relation to the camera when the page first opens up, they're going to stay in relation to them. So that's what you're going to want to do for things like your general user interface, your buttons and things like that, if you're going to be moving the camera around. Okay, otherwise they would just stay in place and the camera is going to kind of move around them, and they would be, it would always be stuck over here in Antarctica. This would always be stuck over here, right? So that's what that use current offset does. And it's quite useful. Most of the time you're going to be sticking one node to another. Then let's head back over here to our event listeners, because I want to point out that we not only have a listener for compass found, we have a listener for compass not found. Okay, and to detect if something is not equaling something else, what you do is you put in here listen for, and there's a little code syntax, exclamation and the equal sign, so that just means it's like non-equality, and basically we're checking if compass does not equal found, in which case what are we going to do? We're going to show the compass. All right, that's basically it. But let me just pick on the events for listener for compass found again. I think we did talk about all of those, and yeah, I guess that is it. Oh, wait, probably inside of events we got something going on, don't we? We are, yes, okay. So initially what we're doing is we're hiding both compass icon and the compass. And so that, yeah, since they're both gone right away, then it's just kind of up to the listeners to determine who's going to get shown initially or not. And keep in mind that once you've collected an item, so whenever compass is going to equal found across the lifespan of the app, so you could have multiple pages that all have an inventory on them, and then all run those same listeners at the beginning. Now, of course, on every single page, you're going to have to include in your compass icon and your compass over here, but that's really not hard work at all. And I come to think of it, you don't even, I don't know why I have that compass icon down there. I should probably just have it kind of like tucked off to the side, or if you really kind of knew it was going to end up at the first slot, you could put it like right over top of that. But yeah, I would just stuff things like that over here off, and that's maybe even not all the way off the visible area, because the camera for we do have a separate camera for the phone, which is scaled out just a little bit more. All right, so I'll leave that guy over here. I mean, you didn't see him when it loaded up anyway. So okay, I'm going to fold this up, and I'll come back in a third optional video if you want to take a look at the slightly changed way I'm opening and closing the menu in this particular example. And you'll notice that unlike some of the other pages, I've actually got a menu open and a close menu button. They're two separate buttons, or elements, and they treat the menu a little bit different. And you'll notice that, watch what happens when I click down on it. It kind of comes up, and then the camera moves somewhere else in the scene, and then when you let go of it, it ends up moving back to our character. So I can follow that again. So we'll talk about that in the next video.